When Sujung boards a train with his daughter and granddaughter, they quickly encounter a strange incident in one of the carriages. Soon they are overwhelmed by a swarm of wild rats, whose bites lead to a deadly illness. The only solution is a vaccine that can save them, but it must be found urgently. They set off to the city in search of the medicine, facing numerous challenges along the way. Join us for this thrilling film.
In a dimly lit building, the unsettling sight of rats scurrying about sets the stage for what's to come. At the bustling train station, Su Zheng, along with his daughter Su Tang and his grandson, are preparing to board a train. As they settle into their seats, Su Zheng's attention is drawn to the unusual behavior of the train staff, who are rushing around in a panic. From his window, he watches as a train door is flung open, unleashing a swarm of rats with the grim sight of bodies strewn about. Victims of the rats' deadly attack. Soon, the roof of the train becomes a chilling spectacle as thousands of rats are seen scuttling across, hidden behind the air vents, casting an ominous shadow over the scene. In the midst of the chaos, Su Zheng ventures into another carriage and, to his surprise, finds his daughter sitting with a government official. "What are you doing here?" he demands. "I've been looking everywhere for you." But in a twist, she turns to her boyfriend and says, "I don't know him." Feeling betrayed, Su Zheng tries to reach out to her, but officials quickly escort him away. Meanwhile, Zheng's grandson hears strange noises, reminiscent of rats coming from the ceiling. As he investigates, pulling back a cloth, he's startled by the sudden appearance of a cat, which darts away, leaving him in shock. The officials, intent on disciplining Su Zheng, are suddenly distracted by the sight of a man being attacked by rats. As they reach out to help, a swarm descends upon them, creating a scene of utter chaos. In another part of the train, a curious passenger, driven by the persistent noise from above, foolishly taps the ceiling with his cane. This accidental action causes a vent to burst open, unleashing a torrent of rats onto the passengers below. As Su Zheng tries to warn others, he discovers the horrifying truth. The rats have already overrun the train and slaughtered many. In a desperate bid to escape, Su Zheng climbs over seats, using passengers' bags as stepping stones to avoid the deadly swarm below. Panic spreads as he finally reaches his daughter's carriage, warning them about the rat invasion. His warnings are met with disbelief and laughter, until a man already attacked by rats stumbles in, collapses, and dies, with rats emerging from his clothing to attack anew. As the chaos unfolds, Su Zheng, his daughter's grandson, and a few others manage to barricade themselves in a carriage, shutting out the advancing horde. Meanwhile, a cowardly governor aboard the train locks the doors, preventing more people from escaping, leaving many to face their fate. Amidst the ensuing anarchy, the governor is confronted by angry passengers, armed and demanding justice. In the midst of this turmoil, Lingling, Su Zheng's daughter, reveals that the disease transmitted by the rats is known as Yersinia. Treatable with medication, she urges everyone to remain calm, promising to find a vaccine, and reassures them, "Trust me, we can get through this." As they prepare to embark on their mission to find the vaccine and medicine in the city, Zheng turns to Lingling, asking her to join the quest, given her knowledge of the disease and its treatment. However, Lingling refuses, insisting, "I want to stay here and look after everyone." With their past disagreements still fresh, she adds, "I didn't come home because of you." To which Zheng coldly replies, "Stay then. I won't forgive you." The group gears up for the journey, joined by a few brave souls. Sutong, Zheng's other daughter, pleads with her father to let her accompany them. Her father insists, "You need to stay and take care of your son." But she argues, Lingling will watch him on the train, and ultimately joins the group despite Zheng's protests. Zheng bids farewell to Lingling from outside the train, and the team steps into the city, immediately confronted by a grim sight, a group of people who have taken their own lives in the wake of the rat apocalypse. As they proceed, they navigate through streets littered with bodies, victims of the disease and rat attacks, moving cautiously to avoid the same fate. The sky is overcast, with the absence of sunlight giving the rats free rein. As they press on, they find themselves in an alley teeming with thousands of rats, thriving in the shadows. To avoid the rats, the group decides to take the high road, literally. They embark on a challenging route, climbing over rooftops and ledges, using the building's sunshades to keep out of reach of the swarming rats below. Meanwhile, back on the train, a terrified man bangs on the door. Startled, the train staff open it to find he has escaped the rats but shows no signs of infection, passing their inspection. As the group carefully traverses the precarious path, they use a metal rod to maintain balance, knowing that a fall would mean instant death by the waiting rats below. The rats, in their countless numbers, begin to pile on top of each other, trying to form a living wall to reach them. Reaching the end of their route, Su-Tang descends and topples large crates to block the rat's path. Her father and the rest follow suit, but Dudashan injures his leg on a wooden crate as he lands. With the rats closing in, they make a narrow escape into a large house. Before shutting the door, Dudashan throws a stick of dynamite toward the advancing horde, taking out a significant number and redirecting the swarm. Inside, Su-Tang tends to Dudashan's wound, bandaging his leg. Meanwhile, another member of the group, holding a candle, explores the dark corners of the house. Suddenly, they are attacked by a resident swinging a shovel. The group quickly reassures him, explaining they pose no threat and aren't infected. They share their desperate need for medicine to save the bitten. The resident, calming down, reveals, "I know where the medicine is. I'll show you the way." But before they leave, he shows them his son, who is also in dire need of the medicine. Descending into the basement, they are met with a grim sight of numerous corpses and skeletons. They soon realize that fire is their best defense against the rats. Keeping them at bay, Dudashan, throwing a torch ahead, exposes the sheer number of rats, and they continue their journey, using flames and torches to guide their path. Back on the train, tensions run high as the governor is tied up by the passengers. One of them blames him for the absence of the rescue team and is about to shoot him when the train driver intervenes, calming the situation. They untie the governor, but during the commotion, a despondent woman heads towards the train door. The governor shouts to stop her, but some people tragically meet their end outside the train, either due to rat attacks or by their own hand. Lingling watches these harrowing scenes unfold from the window. Zurung and his group finally reach their destination. Their guide points out that the medicine is a bit further ahead, but warns about the overwhelming presence of rats. Dudashan, ever the brave soul, volunteers to accompany Zheng, but Zheng insists, "You're injured and can't help," and decides to go alone. Armed with just a candle, Zhongyi navigates the treacherous path and eventually finds the medicine. He fills a pot with as much as he can and begins his careful retreat. Suddenly, the ground beneath him gives way, causing him to drop the candle. In a desperate move, he throws the pot to his companions and races to escape the rats. But he quickly realizes the guide has betrayed them, locking the door and attempting to make off with the medicine. However, the intense rat activity causes the ground to quake, and the metal door collapses. The group manages to escape before the rats flood in, encountering the guide again, who now holds the pot but has lost his son. They retrieve the pot, and just as they move away, the rats claim the guide. Rushing out of the building, they jump into a car. Su-Tang, claiming she can drive, speeds away, with Dudashan spotting the swarm of rats in hot pursuit. They finally reach the train, only to be met with a heart-wrenching scene of bodies outside, victims of the rat onslaught. In their moment of despair, the train door opens, and Suzheng is overwhelmed with relief upon seeing his daughter. "We found the medicine!" he exclaims, bringing a glimmer of hope to the dark and desperate situation. Suzheng sprints to deliver the medicine, but the governor intercepts him, striking him and seizing the pot to save his own son, who's been attacked by rats. Just then, Dudashan arrives, wrestling with the governor. In the scuffle, Dudashan manages to toss the pot back to Suzheng. However, with the rat swarm closing in, Dudashan stands his ground, his injured leg worsening. In a poignant final moment, he confesses his love to Zheng's daughter before being overwhelmed by the rats. A somber Suzheng turns to his daughters, declaring, "We finally made it. Let's use the medicine to save everyone." They swiftly administer the vaccines, with Zheng personally ensuring his grandson is treated. But then, the train driver reports that a derailed carriage is blocking the tracks, preventing them from moving. Staying put means certain death from the approaching rats. Zhang, undeterred, rallies the others, urging them to join him in clearing the tracks. But initially no one responds, as if resigned to their fate. Refusing to give up, Zhang heads out alone, joined by his daughter, Su Tang. Together they struggle to budge the carriage, but it's too heavy. Just then, his other daughter, Lingling, tearfully pleads with the passengers, chiding them for their inaction, reminding them of the sacrifices made for their survival. Gradually, spurred by her words, people join in, and a scene unfolds showing the rat horde rapidly closing in on the train. With everyone now working together, Zhang feels hopeful. "On my count, push!" he instructs, coordinating their efforts. Meanwhile, one of the brave companions, feeling cowardly and useless, has a sudden idea. Grabbing 2 sticks of dynamite, he lures the rats toward him, sacrificing himself to buy time for the others. The explosion wipes out a significant number of rats. Finally, the group manages to push the carriage off the tracks, and Zhang orders everyone back onto the train. But as they prepare to move, the driver warns that the tracks need to be aligned properly, or the train will derail. In the last act of heroism, Su Zhang rushes to the switch, manually holding it in place to ensure a safe passage. He watches his daughters through the train window as they urge him to hurry back. With a massive rat swarm behind him, Jun runs with all his might, but can't quite reach the train in time. As he runs, he shouts to his daughters, expressing his dreams for their happiness and success. Unexpectedly, he stops, overcome by emotion, and watches the train speed away. His daughters scream for him to run and not give up, but it's too late. He bids them farewell as the rats reach him, and his life ends in their jaws, leaving his daughters powerless and in tears. In the end, the sisters, bonded by sorrow yet hopeful for the future, stand united. The film concludes with a poignant aerial shot of the train moving forward, symbolizing resilience and hope amidst tragedy.